right, guys, welcome back. This is going to be part 2 of the America podcast, talking about Troy's first big trip to the United States of America. If you weren't here for part 1, make sure you go listen to that. It was pretty cool. Just talking about his trip in and kind of our first 24 hours together. This time we're going to kind of focus on his first full week in America, and then the big event in which he came over here for in the first place. So in studio, of course, I'm Brandon, also known as Chicken Fried. I've got Troy, also known as Tragic. I've got Hunter, also known as Slaytech. And I've got Connor, also known as Claus. So kind of where we left off, we talked about some football stuff. We talked about getting to hang out. And now we're going to kind of get into what happened in our first full week as we were here. So this is going to be pretty heavy on you three guys because, let's be honest, I got married and the week before was stressful. So
you kind of checked out.
I kind of had to. There's a lot of stressful things going on, a lot of things that me and my now wife had to take care of together. So we were focusing on that. You know, I got to say I'm thankful that Troy knew somebody else in town.
Oh, yeah.
That he could still have somebody to hang out with. And also, like, I'll say this now, my favorite part was that Troy didn't have to get a hotel the entire time he was here.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
He got to stay with Hunter for a little bit. He stayed with me for a little bit. But the first week he got to stay with Hunter and Connor. So I want you guys to kind of elaborate on how that first week went. What did you guys get to do?
Easy. I mean, the first day after, us kind of, settling in, we went to Walmart. Troy's never seen Walmart. So that was, different experience for him. He had to get a SIM card, and we kind of got tagged along by a, salesman, but it happens. After that, we went to a different store, go look at, what kind of foods we had that he has probably never tried. We ended up getting like Mountain Dew Code Red, seeing what, beer he'd never seen before, like Twisted Tea. He enjoyed the Twisted Tea.
Twisted Tea should be illegal. I don't think it's got any alcohol in it, but they say it does, so.
Oh, it does. It does. You just don't,
Takes
know
a couple
it.
for it to hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just goes down too smooth.
Then we kind of, when did we break into the candy and treats and snacks that you brought up?
On the car ride home.
No,
that was
we
some of
didn't.
the stuff.
That was as we left St. Louis Airport.
Yeah.
We
They were
kind of really
they were
tore
eating
into
Tim Tams in the back seat.
No, we had one. All right, Tim Tam.
There was one Tim Tam that I got from the first flight that I obviously didn't eat. And I didn't intend on eating it. I didn't really want it, but it came along. So
Yeah.
I was surprised I could get that through security as well at Dallas because it came from the airplane. You're technically not allowed to bring stuff off from the airplane. So I don't know how that got cleared. But yeah, so
We broke into. Did we break in? I think we broke into the candy. It was the day after we got back from the airport. It was at night. That's kind of when we really broke into it, I think.
Yeah, the Tim Tams?
Yeah,
Definitely.
but I don't think it was exactly the first day. I think it probably would have been the Saturday, maybe the Sunday.
Yeah.
Because on the Friday the day I landed, we didn't do much. I got changed. We basically went straight to bed after we spoke for a bit.
Yeah.
We might have had like some like shapes or stuff that I had like single serve packets.
Eucalyptus.
Oh man, I took some of those to work the other day, and even my coworkers loved those.
Really?
Like, these are Australian candies. And like,
Yep.
they taste like cough drops. I'm like, oh, they basically are.
Tastes like Vaseline.
They would get you through a cold. I truly
Yeah.
think they would.
Don't recommend chewing them. Don't do that. Yeah, it'll taste like eating Vaseline.
So my big thing, Troy, how was the jet lag? Like, honestly, that first week.
Well, the jet lag really didn't hit me until the Friday, the following Friday. Obviously, Connor and Hunter are night owls, so it probably hit me early, but I didn't really realize it until I was with people that weren't up that late.
Yeah, until you started going to
yeah.
Brandon's house for the second week.
Yeah, well, especially like that. We had to go get like our tuxes fitted. So we had we actually done that pretty late in the day, I believe, going off memory.
Well, we did that. We did that Tuesday.
Yep.
But we did it because Tuesday was a big day because Tuesday me and Troy got together and he went and got his tux fitted. And that was a whole ordeal to start with because trying to get somebody who's on a different measuring system than you are fitted for a tux is nerve-wracking because you don't know if, because we were doing pounds and inches and not centimeters and millimeters and trying to make sure that his tux was going to fit and he didn't have to get something brand new like 2 days before my wedding was stressful.
Oh, yeah.
Because I actually invited Troy over as one of my groomsmen. We've been best friends for several years, and I wasn't, oh God, don't cry. I wasn't going to ask him to come all this way just to sit in the back pew and go, oh, this was nice. It meant so much to me that he was willing to drop everything and come over here. So I felt like that was where I wanted him. So we got his tux fitted, and then that same night we decided, it was Hannah's first night of freedom, my wife. And she was off work for the rest of the week. So we decided, we're going to have the boys over. So what we did was we had, Troy, Hunter, and Connor over to our house, and I grilled him up a Missouri staple. We made some pork steaks. I don't even remember what sides that we made for that night, but we made some damn good pork steaks.
Baked mac and cheese.
Oh,
fellas.
yeah. Yeah, Hannah made that. Oh, my God, that was so good.
That was killer, that stuff.
But we did that, and then we lit up my little fire pit in the backyard, and we just got the opportunity to sit and chat. And that was, I think, the first time we all kind of got to breathe and relax.
Yep.
It got a little chilly.
And I also just want to throw in the fact that we started the fire, and we're like, well, where's Hannah? And she was sitting inside, so we had to actually go in there and tell her to come out.
She didn't think she was invited to come sit out with the boys, and we had to inform her that she was the reason we were doing the fire, so therefore she needed to be out there with us.
Yeah, so
Part of it.
Always welcome.
But in my mind, that was a good night. We got to sit around. Troy got to drink some American beer that I had at the house, and we just got to sit and chat, and that was a good night.
Yep.
So we kind of got through that night, and so a couple other things that we got to do that week. We had one or two nights we all met at my house and just kind of gamed.
Yeah.
Luckily at my house, I've got 2 PlayStations and I've got my gaming laptop. So we were able to set up a good little system where all 3 of us could play at my house. And it's funny as heck because we had, of course, my Chicken Fried 818 account running. We had an Embry_818, which is kind of an alternate account I use. And then we also had the very famous Hanner Time, which is actually Hannah's PlayStation, her account. So it's funny because Hannah is not a true gamer like we are hardcore, but her accounts look awesome. But mainly it's because, Slaytech and Tragic were in those accounts playing like madmen, and then I'd come along and kind of even the scores out. But, just being able to sit and game and kind of really do what we did to really get us into knowing each other better. Because I said, me, Hunter, and Connor all went to the same school. Of course, Connor's a couple years younger than us. But even me and Hunter, we're only a couple years apart.
Yeah.
But we never really crossed paths in school.
Yeah, not in school. Not really.
I mean, kind of ran with different crowds. That just is what it is.
Yeah, so gaming really was like a good staple for us to get close. And then, honestly, gaming, 3 guys gaming in one house, shit, I haven't done that since
Probably since high school.
2016. Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was a journey, fun experience.
Screaming across the house for call outs.
yeah,
There's a guy on the left. He's on the right.
not having headsets and having 2 TVs with just the audio playing.
It's hectic, loud.
Yeah, had one person actually had a headset on so they could hear around them. It was definitely different because, I would say we were pretty much screaming at each other just so we could knew we could hear each other.
Yep.
And it's also with this, we weren't all in the same room. 2 were in the living room, 1 was in the bedroom.
Yeah.
So we had to scream. So from the furthest point across, I wouldn't know how long that is in feet, but it's
was
probably
like-
it's probably about 20 meters.
We were relaying information.
But,
So the one that was sitting in the middle was basically trying to like communicate with both of us, so we knew what was actually happening.
Yep.
So, we got to do that several nights, and we just had a blast staying up till midnight or whatever, just being able to game, and then trying to get up the next day to do the next day's activities. And
And then like we took you to Jeff, and like you got to see downtown Jeff. You got to see our state's capital, go see the river, all that stuff. What'd you think of that?
Yeah, it's definitely different to back home. Like the Capitol building itself is pretty cool to see. Other than that, like there's some pretty fancy light posts. I don't know if that's just because like we're in the Midwest.
well, it's kind of historic,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that whole complex there around the
And,
Capitol is historic.
You work close to the Capitol, don't you? In
Yeah,
the Truman
I
building?
work for state government. I'm kind of working the accounting sector of the government. But I get to see that stuff every day, and I still think it's beautiful.
Yep.
Like it's so cool to see all the
Right next to the river.
marble and big buildings, and I'm glad that you guys got the opportunity to take him up there, because I definitely didn't get that opportunity, and I truly wanted him to be able to see that, because it truly is magnificent. Jeff City, Missouri is truly, as long as you're in the right part of town, it's a
Yeah.
beautiful place.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can make it to the wrong part of town, but I feel like that's everywhere you go.
Yes.
Yep.
So one other big thing that we got to do first week was Troy did get to visit my firehouse. And this might seem small, minute to some people, but my firehouse, I've been a firefighter for 9.5 years now. And my firehouse is my second home. I spent a lot of time there. Those guys there are my family. And Troy got to come experience that. They had been there probably no more than, 10, 15 minutes. And we actually popped a motor vehicle accident call. So we were sitting there talking, they got to watch the run to the gear, throw the gear on, get in the truck, scream out lights and sirens. And turns out that we never ended up finding any car accidents. Somebody just called something in they saw.
Yep.
But, we got to come back and got to introduce Troy to my fire chief, and him and my fire chief ended up hitting it off. Troy got his first official fire department T-shirt, which he has worn
Yes, sir.
every night to sleep, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's a comfortable shirt.
Hell yeah.
And obviously, I would wear it more often, but especially where I am now, if something happens and I'm on the street with that shirt on, I don't want to be the one that has to go and put out a fire. So
Are you a firefighter?
yeah, when I get back home,
No, I'm
yeah.
not no firefighter.
like when I get back home, I'll be wearing it more often. But
Yeah.
but it's real comfortable to sleep in. So yeah,
So what was your overall thought of the firehouse? I mean,
yeah, it was definitely an experience. Like we got the tour of it all. It's I wouldn't say it's not a massive station. It's 4 or 5 trucks.
Yeah.
So it's nothing major. I just want to say, like this fire station, it's all volunteer except for the chief. So there's not a million people walking around. Like if Brendan didn't work there, we probably wouldn't have been able to go through it. But we were able to we learned about the trucks, which one's done what was on each one, seeing like the jaws of life and all that sort of stuff. So it was definitely a cool experience to see it.
and that was pretty cool to me because, you and me had talked about that little car accident that happened in front of your house.
Yeah.
What was that, a month before you came over?
Yeah, it would have been a month or two before I came.
And you got to see kind of the aftermath of them using those tools, but you actually got to be up close and personal, getting to see how they work at a fire training that we're actually going to talk about when we get to part 3 of this series. Just a little teaser for you. It's going to be a fun one. But now we're going to get into the reason Troy came. The next part of this podcast is going to be nothing but wedding talk. So we can't really have wedding talk with just my perspective. So I want to introduce you guys to a lady that goes by many titles. She's my best friend. She's my greatest supporter. She is the reason that Chicken Fried has gone as far as it has, because she put up with all those late nights of me gaming. She's let me play a lot longer than I should have a lot of times. But she's been the greatest supporter of me and my channel. And Ozone, mean, she was the first person to buy an Ozone jersey, wasn't she?
I think it was the jumper.
Yes, the jumper. And we still have that at the house. She still likes to wear it.
That's the one I want as well. Just
it's
I have
the only
one, but that's the old logo. So,
but I want to bring in Hannah time. She's
so embarrassing.
So, guys, this is Hannah. This is my wife.
Hello.
So she's going to get to talk a lot here because we're going to talk about wedding stuff. So first thing we're going to talk about is Friday setup. So we left our house at 8:00 in the morning. We had to be there by 9, and Hannah is a coffee drinker. Any chance she gets, there's a place in our local town called The Grind. They make some pretty good coffee. They got some, soups and sandwiches and stuff like that. But we stopped to get coffee, and Hannah had a very funny exchange with Troy, even before we got out of town. So Hannah, what was that experience?
I experienced a culture shock for Troy, and it was when we parked. I asked him what he wanted before I ran into the coffee shop, and he said he wanted a cappuccino. I said, "What flavoring do you want?" And he looked at me and said, "What do you mean?" And I said, "You want like caramel, vanilla?" He's like, "I just want a cappuccino." Like, okay. So I go inside and I order him his regular plain Jane cappuccino. And the barista looks at me and goes, "Just a plain one?" So that's the same question that I had, but he insists that that's the correct way to do it.
I'm just going to, I don't know if it's the correct way to do it, but that's all we got back home. So
You don't have those fancy sugar syrups?
Well, yeah, because then, of course, I order mine, and it's, an iced caramel latte with caramel cold foam on top and caramel drizzle and all this extra stuff, and then just a regular cappuccino.
And
it was definitely
so we got back to the car, and she gets in the car, and she goes, "Okay, here's your cappuccino," and she hands it back to him, and, she sits down with her nice little coffee, and we got a good giggle out of that. Connor, do you have something?
Do you guys have like black coffee back home? Like just straight black coffee?
Yep.
I didn't know if you guys had that.
No, we have, like, so we had that sort of stuff. We have black coffee.
And
Obviously,
as we learned at dinner tonight, you also have pickles in Australia.
Oh my god.
They do have the pickles. So after we got our coffees, we went and we had to pick up a bunch of the guys' tuxes at the local flower shop there in California. And I just wanted to point this out because we were told we were picking up some live flowers, and I didn't think anything of it until they bring out this tote that is half full of water, and they say, "All right, shove this in your already full vehicle." And I remember I put it behind my seat, and my first thought was Troy's going to end up wearing the water out of this vase before we get where we're going, because we had like an hour drive still. We had places we had to be. I was kind of in a little bit of a hurry because I knew we were already kind of behind schedule. And I remember the entire drive going, "Okay, don't splash water. Don't splash the water."
And you kind of drive a little crazy, so
Hey.
I was proud of you.
And also to throw in, this day, it was pretty cold. So if I was wearing this water, I would have been freezing
Yes.
all day.
Most of the day. So we got to our venue. It was like literally probably 10 after 9, so I felt like we did pretty good on time. Of course, Hannah's mom and stepdad were already there kind of getting things set up, and we jumped in, we got set up going. I mean, there's nothing really too much to talk about there. It was kind of stressful for the first 2 hours or so because it's very much okay, we've got 30 things to do. There's okay, you're going to go over there, you're going to put that over there, this is going to go here. Okay, you run this over there, you're going to take this over. And I remember just looking at Troy and going, "My God, what did I get myself into?" And we got everything set up. Everything went just fine because Hannah's mom was detailed down to the minute where things were supposed to be, how things were supposed to go for setup. And that made things run so much smoother.
Yeah,
Plus,
we had drawn diagrams and everything. It was pretty easy once we got everything unloaded. That was the hard part.
And her stepdad and her grandpa are both a little bit of perfectionists. I love them to death.
Slightly.
But everything went well. We got closer to time for the actual rehearsal to start. Everybody started showing up here and there throughout the day. I remember the exact second that the wedding truly felt real. And that was...
And I could tell that it had officially hit you.
We were inside, and it was cold as balls outside. And our officiant goes, you know what? We're just going to do our initial setup in here, and then we'll go outside and run it really quickly. So, okay. So we got everybody up there. He kind of announced both sides, the groomsmen and the bridesmaids. And I remember looking down my line and seeing my 6 standing beside me. And I went, oh, my God, this is happening. And I almost cried there.
You did. You had to turn around because you were getting a little misty.
And, the officiant kind of went through things. We went down to the outside ceremony space and kind of did our run through down there. And then it's like, all right, we're all done. Let's go back inside where it's warm and eat some tacos. Because that, of course, was what my mother made for our rehearsal dinner. It was our request because my mom makes some bomb tacos. And we have some funny pictures of like Hannah's nephews who are just, I'm talking handful and handful shoving taco meat down their throats.
They're big fans of sour cream, and I think that they ate more sour cream than anything else, but food is food when you're 2 years old, I guess.
Yeah, and I remember, at that time I went ahead and gave all my guys their night of gift, and I remember crying every time I handed one of these out, and especially when I handed Troy's out because, I just took the opportunity. I gave all my guys a hug, and I said, thank you for being part of this day for us. And, I had guys that came from a couple hours away. My brother lives in town with us, and they had to drive a couple hours. Troy literally gave up a month of his life to come hang out with us. And there's no thanks that I can give for him being not only willing, but eager to do that. And
it's definitely happening again though. Look, I'll definitely be back.
We know you'll be back, but like this was a big one. This was a big reason. And I remember, the gift bag had a personalized koozie that I made that I had made for all the guys, and their suspenders, their tie, that kind of stuff that goes along with their tuxes for the day of, and just some little stuff. The socks I wanted everybody to wear because I didn't want everybody having different colored socks on. And it seems like such a small thing, but it's a huge thing when it comes to pictures and stuff.
Should we talk about the gift that we were given?
Oh my God!
At the rehearsal dinner.
Please, let's hear it.
My best friend, me and this kid have been best friends since kindergarten. His name is Zach. Him and his wife, I have known them since they first started talking. Yvette started hanging out with Zach in his first year of college, and they got married back in 2017. They now have a little boy named Bowden. He is freaking awesome. I knew he was going to try to pull something because that's just how Zach is. And they gave me my gift, or me and Hannah's gift. And he said, you need to get everybody's attention for this one. And I said, I know you well enough to know that's a bad idea. And I stuck to my guns there, and I'm glad I did, because the first thing I pulled out of that stupid bag was one of those plastic whip things. It's got beads, metal beads coming off the end of it as a whip. And I'm like, this cannot get any better from here.
The bag was very full.
So a long time ago, several years ago, Zach's wife was selling Pure Romance, which, if you guys don't know, it's basically just stuff for your bedroom. And this bag was chocked full of bedroom accessories.
And fake rose petals.
And, yeah, those rose petals were all over my damn car. The best part of this gift, okay, I'm already embarrassed. Brandon is embarrassed, probably not as much as I was. But we go to put this bag in the car, and it was in a brown paper gift bag. He picks it up, and the bag rips. And I was so mad at him in this moment because sex toys and lube just falls out everywhere in front of all of our grandparents. Not to mention those rose petals.
Yeah, those rose petals went everywhere. So I'm pretty sure a couple of the bridesmaids and groomsmen helped pick it up really fast, threw a jacket over it, and then we just ran it to the car. But I was so mad at him because it was so embarrassing.
I mean, I couldn't help the bag ripped. I did what I could. And
the running joke is that we're going to find those loose rose petals everywhere for the next 7 years.
Oh, yeah. They'll be here forever. So that was rehearsal. Rehearsal went well. So we went back. We had, we stayed at the casino in Boonville. Next morning, I met up with Troy early in the morning, and we went back over to the venue to start kind of our morning of. We kind of just chilled in her parents' camper. Kind of chilled out. Wasn't anything too crazy.
Yeah, nothing too crazy.
Really, the fun started about, it was about 1:10. And that was only because the photographer's assistant came, and I'm talking knocked on that camper door and said, all right, we're ready to start taking pictures. And we're still sitting there in shorts and T-shirts. Hadn't even opened up our tuxes yet. And she goes, we're ready to take pictures. Are you guys ready? And we're like, we were told you would be here at this time. No, you guys are supposed to be ready. I'm like, well, give us 10 minutes. We'll be ready.
Man, it must be so nice to be a dude.
Oh, it was. And we were dead set, dressed outside in 10 minutes, 15 minutes tops.
There were about 10 of us getting hair and makeup done in the bridal suite, and we started at 7:30 in the morning, and we were rushing to get done by 2 o'clock when the photographer was supposed to take pictures of the girls. So it was a lot longer than 10 minutes, and I'm very jealous that that's all it took the guys to get ready.
Well, we were also, like I said, in a dead panic. And it was kind of funny because I was the first one
Seriously?
to really get ready. Yep, there it is. Sorry, guys. That is my fire department app. Sorry.
Phone's on silent.
It is on silent. It overrides it. I can't help it. It was kind of funny because I was able to get dressed I was the first one or two to get done. But we had, there was my 6 guys, me, my dad, Hannah's dad, and a couple of the guys that were like ushers and guys, driving golf carts for us, all trying to get ready at the same time. It's a big 28-foot camper, but you have 10, 11 guys trying to get ready at the same time. We were jumping over each other.
And
one
two
guy,
2-year-olds.
Oh yeah, don't forget the 2-year-olds. I remember one guy was literally standing on the bed in the master bedroom trying to jump into his pants because that's all we could do. We had 5 guys getting dressed in that one bedroom. And I remember going, guys, we got to figure out a system here because we're just tossing stuff. And we were able to get all dressed, all outside. We got our pictures done. And I remember we were down below the venue where the girls were getting ready. We took a couple pictures down there, and then we had to get our flowers pinned on because none of the guys remembered to put our what are those called?
Well, they're called boutonnieres.
Boutonnieres, yeah. Them.
And let me tell you, the girls had taken their pictures in that spot first, and then we came back inside because, of course, I didn't want Brandon to see me until I walked down the aisle, so I was hiding. But the door was open that separates the bridal suite from the back porch area. And as I'm sitting inside, all I hear is my mom ask Brandon, where are your guys' flowers? And he responds with, well, we didn't know who was supposed to put them on.
Well, that was one picture that I told the photographer I truly wanted was my mom putting that flower on me. I feel like that's a quintessential wedding day picture. And I hadn't even seen my mom yet. I'm supposed to get married in 15 minutes, and I haven't even seen my mother. I'd been able to hang out with my dad most of the day, but I wanted that couple minutes. And I was able to get a couple pictures with my mom and then some pictures with my dad, Hannah's dad, and Hannah's stepdad, which to me was also important because those men are incredibly important in her life, just like my dad was incredibly important in mine.
That was my first almost bridezilla moment, though, because I looked at the clock when you said that. And yeah, it was 15 minutes until the ceremony was supposed to start, and the flowers were all the way back in the camper, and nobody had them pinned on. And I'm sitting inside with my girls going, those idiots. What did they expect was going to happen? They were just going to magically appear on their shirts?
Well, I was thinking somebody was going to come up and we're going to pin your flowers on now. But kind of moving on, we got to, hey, you've got 5 minutes. We still have to go down to the actual wedding spot, which was only 100 feet or so, a football field length down to where we needed to be. And I looked at the photographer and I said, well, we're going to have to push things back 5-10 minutes. She goes, why? I said, I have not even seen my wedding day present from Hannah. I haven't got to open it. I haven't got to read my day of letter. And if I don't get to read those, I'm going to cry because I know she spent a lot of time and a lot of money on my gift, and I spent a lot of time and money on hers. And I'm so thankful that I made that Groomzilla decision, because what she ended up getting me was this wonderful watch that I'm even wearing right now. And her note literally made me sob. And she definitely knew I'd been sobbing because I already had tear stains on my vest. But we ended up getting down there. We started like 2 or 3 minutes late, which, I mean, no big deal in hindsight.
No wedding starts on time anyways.
That's it.
But I did just fine until my mom grabbed my arm. All right, it's time to go. All right, let's do this. So, we started walking in the aisle, and of course, my mom twisted her ankle about a week before the wedding. So she is in a boot. She cannot move very fast. And the highlight of me getting to walk down the aisle with my mother is, you need to slow down. You need to slow down because this is, you're moving too fast for me. I was like, okay, that's fine. So I remember getting down there, and it wasn't originally planned, but my guys walked down, and I got to give each one of my guys a hug, and I got to kind of share that moment with them. And, I got to get down there, and all my guys got down, all the bridesmaids got down.
Did the little kids make it down okay?
So
I wasn't able to see anything. I was concerned.
Hannah was behind a set of doors. She didn't get to see one of my family members. Her name's Ayla. I love Ayla.
Also 2 years old.
Yeah. She was our flower girl, and she walked down the aisle. We're not going to make a big stink about it, but they kind of forgot the flowers she was supposed to throw. But she made it almost all the way down the aisle until my mother stepped out and looked at her. And then she stopped, and I'm talking full diva posed in the middle of the aisle and stood there for like 10 seconds. Finally, somebody goes, Ayla, come here. And she just kind of trotted off. So me and Hannah's nephews, the 2-year-old boys, they were not going to walk. There was no way. So what ended up happening was their mom was also a bridesmaid. She walked secretly all the way around the crowd and carried the 2 boys down. So they made it down. They were our ring bearers. They were cute. Their outfits were adorable.
They just weren't having good days.
No. And I remember the second that the music I chose for the bridal party and, the little kids, as soon as that stopped and the song that Hannah chose to walk down popped on, I made it about 2 seconds, and I felt the first teardrop.
Oh, you're lucky if you made it 2 seconds.
Troy was behind me, and I'm pretty sure you could see him on my shoulders. I was not doing well. But, of course, they opened the doors for Hannah, and our wedding video captures it perfectly. I cried like a baby, which I expected nothing less.
Yes.
As you should.
Because, of course, she was beautiful. We were getting it done. And, of course, the wedding ceremony went off almost without any hitches. There was only a couple. I was a little eager on the I do's. Our officiant got out, Brandon, do you take Hannah? I do. Well, I have more to say. Sorry.
I admired the enthusiasm. Let's just put it that way.
And then the only other big thing that truly happened during our ceremony is, as our officiant was announcing us, I'd like to present to you Mr. and Mrs. Embry. He went to step out of the way for our pictures. And of course, our outdoor spot was kind of on a hill. He found a rock that was perfectly round and almost fell on his ass.
He almost ate shit.
And here's the problem. If he would have fell, he would have rolled down the hill.
Oh, yeah.
And can you imagine just your wedding video? And I now gone. So that was funny. We all got a good chuckle out of it after the fact. But, of course, we had a receiving line, took all of our pictures. And then came the entrances to the reception. So I put out a nice little contest about 2 days before the wedding. And I told all my groomsmen, I'm going to give $20 to whoever has the best entrance. So I gave them 2 days. They didn't even know who they were paired with yet. I just said, you guys think about this. At the rehearsal, you'll figure out who you're with, and you guys can plan. And in that 24 hours, some did little, some did a lot. So
some did more than they should have.
Now, what do you mean by more than they should have?
A certain person sitting next to you grossed out almost 250 people with one foul swoop.
Now, Troy, do you know who that was?
I sure do. That would be myself.
What did you do?
All right, so just to be clear with this as well, so we got told it might have been on the Thursday night before we actually started to set up about what was going to happen. I didn't meet who I was doing anything with until the rehearsal itself. Hadn't even spoke to her. Didn't even speak to her after it because really we didn't know what we we're going to do, and everyone was like, "Oh, we don't know what we're going to do." So it was no big issue. And I was lucky because Tyler actually suggested me doing it. So Tyler, as in Brendan's brother.
So what did you do?
Well, back home it's called a shoey. It's when you pour your beer into your shoe and then you drink your beer out of your shoe. Now the grossest part about it is not only did I do it once, but I didn't even have to, but I still had beer in the can. So as I was walking away, I actually refilled the shoe back up and I done it again to the side, which
we have on video.
Oh yeah. We have the video that shows both of your shoeies, and then it also shows you putting the thing back on. Now,
that was.
Now let me ask you this: did you wear that shoe the rest of the night?
Yes, that shoe stayed on. Actually, when I got back to the hotel and I took the shoe off, I even took the sock off, and I was, I wonder what this smells like, and it smelled bad.
Well, and I would
Worst
also
decision.
like to point out, as if doing the shoey wasn't gross enough, he was doing a shoey out of a rented shoe.
Yep.
You don't know how
rental
many people
shoe.
have worn that shoe.
I mean,
That's
really though, like I got a pretty small foot, and that was a size 8, so I don't think many people have been in it, especially no one older. But like I still want to know, did I win that entrance?
So here's how I'm gonna put it: of the 6 couples we had as our, groomsmen bridesmaid combos and the ushers, there was only 2 that I considered. One was my little brother and my cousin. My little brother is, he's a hoss. He's a big boy. They got him down on the floor and had him doing
a somersault.
a somersault. And I didn't get to see it because, of course, we were still outside. But I saw the video later, and I'm like, I didn't know that boy was that agile. It's all that wrestling he does. And the other one was Troy. So here's my thought on this. Since Tanner was not invited into the $20 bet, as far as I am concerned, Troy won it. Now, here's the problem. As anybody who's married knows, I have not gotten final approval from my wife on this. So, darling, who do you think won it?
I'm going to have to agree with you.
So, Troy, high five.
And I'm also like, with that, I definitely got the reaction. It was
Yeah.
You could tell the two age groups.
It was mostly the women going, ugh. We have one lady, and she's a family friend of ours. You can hear her in the back of our video go, oh, God. And then you hear the guys, yeah.
Well, I had shared with a couple of my coworkers that we were going to have someone there from Australia. And my coworker's husband saw the shoey, and he plays a lot of rugby. And he goes, oh, that's got to be the Australian, because that's an Australian thing. So he knew. He knew without ever hearing you speak.
So it's officially been decided, and anybody else that was in my wedding party that's hearing this, I'm sorry. But, yeah.
You should have done better.
More planning should have been done. But that was...
Walking out and shrugging.
It is what it is. The only other thing really memorable from the entrances was actually me and Hannah's, because we had one slight thing we didn't practice beforehand, and I almost knocked out my very, very recently married wife. Darlin, what did I do?
I went to kiss you after we ran into the reception. Everyone's clapping and cheering for us. I lean in, and I bounced my skull off of the brim of your fire helmet that you were wearing, just to be fun.
So we had a custom-made entrance done for us. It was kind of like the style of The Purge, and the radio sirens, and welcome, the new bride and groom. All the firefighters are getting turned up for the bride and groom right now, so don't light your house or your field of leaves on fire. And, it was a big hype up. We walked out. I bought these flashlights that have red and blue flashing lights on them. So I walked in hooting and hollering. I went in to give my wife the biggest kiss I probably could have. And I didn't think about my clear visor. And all I remember is her head going thunk. And my first thought was, oh, my God.
Oh,
And we got to our table, and she looks at me and she goes, do I have a line on my forehead?
man, when I tell you I bounced my head off and was immediately concerned I gave myself a concussion.
So we got done with that. We got dinner in. We got pictures and parties and dancing, and I'd made Troy drink peach moonshine, and we drank a lot of peach moonshine, and we had a good time.
And we've gotten him hooked on sweet tea in the last couple of weeks, haven't we?
He likes sweet tea.
Yeah, that's a fan.
But we got to do all that, and finally, we got to go home, or back to our hotel at least. And the next morning, we met up with some of our family to have breakfast, and I got a message from Troy, man, I'm not feeling good. I'm going to go ahead and head home. I said, all right, that's fine. You go ahead and head home. You do what you got to do. Teardown shouldn't be that bad. We went back, did teardown. It was from like 10 to 2. Not a big deal. And then me and Hannah got to go home, and we spent some time with my parents as we opened all of our gifts and just kind of got to kind of reminisce on the day, because they always say it goes fast, but you don't realize how fast until it's done. But
got to hear stories of things that had gone wrong
that we didn't even
behind
know.
the scenes that our parents were so amazing at keeping from us, and they handled on their own without stressing us out, and I appreciated that. But it was interesting to go, oh, really? That happened? Because I had no idea.
So, we did all that, and then honestly, Monday we stayed at home, we chilled out, and we just kind of enjoyed time with each other, and that was probably the first time we got to breathe through that entire week and that weekend. And it was just nice to be able to sit at home and chill with my wife and, kind of waking up every morning still looking at that ring on my finger and going, man, this is probably the greatest thing I've ever done. Now, the last thing that I want to hit on with the boys, what did you guys do Monday?
I don't think we done all that much.
Yeah, not a whole
Sleep.
lot, because he did look like a ghost Sunday morning. It was kind of crazy. You can definitely tell the jet lag settled in with him.
So you guys just kind of chilled out Monday too. And that's kind of where we're going to leave this part of the podcast. So we're going to do a part 3. So keep an eye out for that. It's probably going to come out at the same time as the others. But this part of our podcast, just talking about the first full week. And of course, my big day, my wife's big day, and kind of how that all played out and how it ended. So we're going to go ahead and end this here, but we're definitely going to be recording a part 3. So keep your eyes open for that. But for now, we're out.